Has it ever crossed your mind how a dispute over borders led to one of the most significant conflicts in modern history, the Iraq-Kuwait War? A simple question, yet it unravels an intricate web of political maneuverings, historical grievances, and economic pressures that culminated in a war that shocked the world. This is not just a story of two nations at odds, but a reflection of a larger geopolitical chess game that unfolded in the arid landscapes of the Middle East. In the next 10 minutes, we will journey through time, retracing the footsteps of those who walked the corridors of power, those who marched into battle, and those whose lives were forever changed by this conflict. We will delve into the historical context, the intricate interplay of regional and international politics, and the economic factors that set the stage for this war. We will explore the events leading up to the war, the fierce battles that ensued, and the aftermath that continues to shape the region even today. We will also attempt to understand the significance of this war from a broader perspective, examining its impact on international relations, global energy markets, and the collective conscience of humanity. As we dive into this journey, we will unravel the causes, the consequences, and the aftermath of this war. So, buckle up as we embark on this voyage through the annals of history. The seeds of conflict were sown long before the first shots were fired. Our story begins in the aftermath of the Iran-Iraq War, an 8-year-long bloody conflict that left Iraq in a state of economic despair. The country was crippled by a debt that soared into the billions, a burden that was too immense for its already strained economy. The 1980s saw Iraq seeking ways to rejuvenate its economy, and its eyes fell on Kuwait, a small yet oil-rich neighbor to the south. Iraq accused Kuwait of overproducing oil, a move that would drive down the global oil prices. This was a major blow to Iraq's primary source of income, and the economic strain only deepened the chasm between the two nations. In addition to the oil dispute, Iraq harbored long-standing territorial claims over Kuwait, a remnant of the colonial era when Kuwait was carved out of the Ottoman province of Basra. Iraq argued that Kuwait was rightfully theirs, a claim that was never recognized by the international community. Compounding these economic and territorial disputes was a personal element. Saddam Hussein, the then president of Iraq, felt betrayed by Kuwait's refusal to waive Iraq's war debt, a debt incurred largely from defending the region against Iran. This perceived betrayal further fueled the animosity between the two nations. All these factors combined to create an atmosphere of hostility and mistrust. The economic strain, territorial claims, and personal grievances painted a picture of inevitable conflict. The stage was set. The actors were in their places. The only thing left was for the curtain to rise on this tragic play of power and greed. These mounting tensions were a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And explode it did, igniting a conflict that would have far-reaching consequences, not just for Iraq and Kuwait, but for the entire world. The prelude to war was over, and the world was about to witness a conflict that would redefine the landscape of the Middle East. On August 2nd, 1990, the tension reached its peak, and Iraq invaded Kuwait. This marked the beginning of a conflict that would draw the eyes of the world to the Middle East. Iraq's forces, led by the iron-fisted Saddam Hussein, rolled into Kuwait, quickly overwhelming the small nation's defenses. The world watched in shock as Kuwait's sovereignty was trampled underfoot. Almost immediately, the international community responded with outrage. The United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 660, condemning the invasion and demanding an immediate withdrawal of Iraqi forces from Kuwait. But Iraq remained defiant, and as a result, a coalition of 34 nations, led by the United States, formed to drive out the invaders. The war itself was a showcase of modern military technology and strategy. The first phase, known as Operation Desert Shield, saw coalition forces amass in Saudi Arabia, preparing to liberate Kuwait. The world held its breath as the coalition's troops and aircraft gathered on Saudi soil. Then, in January 1991, Operation Desert Storm began. This was an intense air campaign aimed at crippling Iraq's military infrastructure. For over a month, coalition aircraft pounded Iraqi targets, decimating their defenses and paving the way for the ground invasion. Finally, in late February, the ground war began. Coalition forces, employing a strategy of envelopment, swiftly pushed into Kuwait and southern Iraq. The Iraqi forces, already weakened by the punishing air campaign, were unable to resist effectively. Within 100 hours, the ground war was over. Kuwait was liberated, and Iraq's aggressive ambitions were thwarted. The war was brief, but its impact was profound and far-reaching. It reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East and set the stage for conflicts and tensions that persist to this day. But that's a tale for the next scene. For now, let's remember the invasion and the war, a stark reminder of the cost of ambition and the power of international unity. The echoes of the war reverberated long after the guns fell silent. The aftermath of the Iraq-Kuwait War was a period of tumultuous change and profound consequences. With the liberation of Kuwait, the nation faced the daunting task of rebuilding, a process that was both physically and emotionally trying. Infrastructure was in ruins, oil wells were ablaze, and the social fabric was torn apart. Yet the spirit of resilience shone through, as Kuwaitis began the journey towards recovery and healing. Meanwhile, Iraq, once a significant player on the world stage, found itself in a state of economic and societal freefall. The war had crippled its economy, and the cost of reconstruction was overwhelming. The damage to infrastructure, coupled with a lack of essential resources, led to a severe humanitarian crisis. The people of Iraq, who had once enjoyed relative prosperity, now grappled with poverty, disease, and the painful realities of a nation in ruins. Adding to this was the heavy hand of international sanctions. In an effort to curb Iraq's capacity for future aggression, the United Nations imposed stringent economic sanctions. These measures further crippled Iraq's economy and exacerbated the suffering of its people. Alongside these sanctions, the United Nations also conducted rigorous inspections to ensure Iraq's compliance with disarmament agreements. These inspections, often seen as intrusive, generated tension and discontent, fostering a climate of mistrust and hostility. In the years that followed, Iraq struggled under the weight of these sanctions and inspections, its economy stagnating, its society fragmenting. The once thriving nation was now a shadow of its former self, its people bearing the heavy burden of a war that had ended yet continued to cast a long and ominous shadow. The war ended, but its effects continue to shape the region. The repercussions of the Iraq-Kuwait War are still felt today, a stark reminder of the profound and lasting impact of conflict. History is not just about understanding the past, but also about learning from it. These words echo with a profound truth as we delve into the reflections and lessons from the Iraq-Kuwait War. This conflict was more than just a battle over territory. It was a stark reminder of the devastating effects of war on societies. From the displacement of people to the loss of innocent lives and the destruction of infrastructure, the war left an indelible mark on the region. It's a lesson that underscores the importance of peace and stability and the need to resolve disputes through dialogue and understanding rather than resorting to violence. The Iraq-Kuwait War also underscored the power of international cooperation. The global community came together under the banner of the United Nations, condemning the invasion and implementing economic sanctions. It was a testament to the potential of collective action in maintaining international peace and security. Yet, it was also a reminder of the limitations of such interventions and the need for more effective strategies to prevent conflicts from escalating in the first place. Moreover, the war highlighted the importance of diplomatic solutions. While military force may sometimes seem the only option, it often leads to unforeseen consequences and long-lasting damage. Diplomacy, on the other hand, offers a path to resolve conflicts without resorting to violence. It requires patience, negotiation, and the willingness to find common ground, but its benefits are undeniable. Lastly, the war served as a potent reminder of the human cost of conflict. It's easy to view wars as political and military events, but at their core, they are human tragedies. They disrupt lives, destroy communities, and leave deep scars that can take generations to heal. This reminder emphasizes the need for empathy, compassion, and a commitment to preventing such tragedies in the future. As we look back on the Iraq-Kuwait War, we are reminded of the enduring impact of decisions made in the halls of power. We are reminded that history is not just a series of events, but a tapestry of lessons, some painful, some enlightening, but all crucial in shaping our understanding of the world and how we navigate it. We've embarked on a journey through time, exploring a conflict that has shaped the course of history. We delved into the unresolved question that ignited the fuse, the economic tensions and border disputes that set the stage for the Iraq-Kuwait War. We followed the prelude to the war, the mounting pressures and the eventual invasion that marked one of the most significant conflicts of the late 20th century. We then navigated through the harsh realities of the war itself, the military strategies, and the human cost that left an indelible mark on both nations. We explored the aftermath and the far-reaching consequences of the conflict, which are still evident in the region today. Finally, we reflected on the lessons learned, the importance of diplomacy, and the devastating effects of war, reminding us of the value of peace and stability. Next time you ponder about the complexities of